Assalamualaikum and selamat sejahtera to all of you. Welcome back to our tutorial class for Math 201. So today I'm going to discuss with you question from Common Test April 2019, question number 2. Okay, let's refer to this question. Question 2 extracted from Common Test April 2019. What you need to do is that the first thing you need to read the question from the beginning until the end. Okay, then you are required to prepare the answer for the following question. Number 1, you are required to prepare the construction in progress account. Please take note that you are required to round up the percentage of completion to the nearest percentage. Meaning that, for example, from the calculation, you got 24.31%. So what you need to do is that you need to round up it to the nearest percentage, that is 24%. Okay, number 2, you are required to prepare the contractee account or the client account. Finally, you are required to determine whether there is a contract asset or contract liability arise from this question. Okay, let's discuss on the suggested solution on the next slide. Okay, before we start preparing the answer, let us extract some important information from this question. As we have learned, contract costing is another method of costing method that is applied by a business. It is suitable to use in tracking costs that associated with contract job with customer. Therefore, contract costing is prepared usually by the builders or by the contractor. To form a contract, we need to know who are the several parties behind it. The first one, we need to know who is the contractor. Number 2, we need to know who is the contractee. And then we need to know the amount of price agreed between the contractor and contractee on the contract job, which is called as the contract price. Last but not least, another important information that we need to know is the contract period and the reporting period. Okay, based on this question, let us identify who is the contractor. Contractor is the one who undertake the contract job. So in this case, contractor is referring to Paihia Construction Limited. While the contractee is the owner of the project or the one who enter contract with the contractee. Therefore, the contractee here referring to the party who award the contractor to build the shopping mall. Okay, the contract price here refer to the selling price. It's like a selling price which agreed between the contractor and the contractee upon the contract job. Based on the question, the amount is given directly by 2,500,000 ringgit. Okay, last but not least, we need to know about the contract period. So based on the question, it is said that the work started on 5th July 2018 and it is estimated that the contract will take 18 months to be completed. Therefore, it will start on July 2018 and it is estimated to be completed somewhere in December 2019. Since that we need to prepare the construction in progress account from the point of view of contractor, therefore, another important information that we need to know is the reporting period for Paihia Construction Limited. Based on the question, it is said that the accounts of the company will be closed on 31st March 2019. Therefore, the company will start its reporting period from 1st April 2019 and close its account on 31st March 2000. It will start its accounts on 1st April 2014. 2018 I mean, and it will close its account on 31st March 2019 because the standard reporting period will be 1 year. Okay, let us prepare the next question, that is the construction in progress account. First requirement is to prepare the construction in progress account. Recall the format. The account is to be prepared in the form of T account, where we'll have the debit side and the credit side. Another important things that we need to know is that this contract account is to be prepared from the point of view of the contractor. Therefore, this account will be appeared in the book of contractor. Another basic thing that we need to know is that this contract account is more or less the same as the trading and profit and loss account, where all the expenses or costs that we put into the contract is to be recorded in the debit side, while any income or revenue that we receive from the contract is need to be recorded in the credit side. At the end, these two items will be matched to determine whether there is a profit or loss arise from this contract. The profit value will be recorded in the debit side, while the loss will be recorded in the credit side. Okay, let us go one by one of the item in the question to determine whether it is to be recorded in the debit side or in the credit side. Okay, let us do it together. Okay, based on the first information, we know that these are the costs that incurred on the contract and some of the return that we might receive from the contract. Therefore, all the costs incurred is to be recorded in the debit side, while the income that we may receive from the contract is to be recorded in the credit side. Okay, don't forget, we also have some additional information here that we need to adjust accordingly. Okay, the first one here, it says that the architect fees owing amounted to 5,500 and materials at site were estimated at 25,000. So this amount need to be adjusted in the current reporting period by following. Okay, number 2, 10% of the total wages paid is for uncompleted work. Meaning here is that we have already paid in advance for the work which has not complete yet. Therefore, there is a prepayment of wages and it is to be recorded as following. Okay, number 3, depreciation expense on the plant is 10,000 per year. Here we know that we have to find the carrying value of the plant which has been brought in early July for the contract. Therefore, you have to calculate for the depreciation expenses and adjust it to the cost as to get the carrying value at the end of the year. Okay, number 4 is about the overhead. So this overhead is cost that we put into the contract. Therefore, it needs to be recorded in debit side. Okay, next, we have some information which need to be used in other adjustment or in other calculation. And with that, we hold it first and we can start by preparing the contract account in the next slide. Okay, let's continue. Okay, this is the suggested solution for the contract account. Firstly, we start with the title, the name of the contractor, followed by the name of the account. Then we start record all the transaction in the debit side and in the credit side based on our last discussion. Okay, before we close the account, please make sure that for any item which need further adjustment, for example like overheads, okay, the carrying value of the plant and the adjustment for prepayment wages, you are encouraged to provide the working either in the face of the account, or you may also provide it outside the account. Okay, this is to ensure that you won't lose the tick if any of the entry is missing. As an example here, okay, for the overheads, the total tick given is 2 ticks. So if any one of the item is missing, you can still get 1 tick here. Okay, this is just the example of how the marks given. Okay, next. So we can close the account by determining the cost of work done to date. Okay, this is one of the item that we need to identify. The answer is 323,950. Okay, I will highlight the answer here. Okay, next, you bring down the cost of work done to date, and we can find another item that is the recognized profit. So, how to identify the recognized profit? Recall the formula of recognized profit. So, profit is recognized by matching the contract revenue and cost of work done to date. Therefore, we need to find the next item, that is the contract revenue. Okay, because in order to find the profit, we need to minus the cost of work done to date from the contract revenue. How to find the contract revenue? Okay, again, recall the formula that we have learned before. Contract revenue is derived from the percentage of completion times with the contract price. So this is what being stated in MFRS 15, where the contract revenue shall be recognized based on the progress completion of the contract. Therefore, the business must measure the stage of completion. So there are two methods to identify or to measure the stage of completion. Okay, they are the input method, or it can be measured using the output method. For this question, we are required to identify the stage of completion based on the input method. Okay, this is the formula. The stage of completion by using input method is where the proportion that the contract cost incurred for work performed to date to the estimated total contract cost. So another name for input method is cost method. Here, based on the formula, the cost of completion is equal to 64% after we have rounded up it to the nearest percentage. Therefore, the contract revenue for this particular period is 1,600,000. Therefore, we can recognize our profit by 1,276,050 ringgit. So, these are the objective of this contract account, where the contractor has able to identify its recognized profit for the reporting period. And subsequently, don't forget to bring all the balance for the contractor to prepare the account in the next accounting period. The next requirement is to prepare the contractee account. Okay, please take note the concept of contractee account is just similar as per accounts receivable, which we have learned in the previous accounting subject. We start debit it with the progress billing by 1 million. Okay, please take note that progress billing referring to the amount billed or invoiced to contractee based on the value of work certified. Since the amount is already given in the question, we just can directly record the amount in the debit side. The next step is we need to find out the progress payment or the cash received from our customer. However, in the question, the progress payment is not spelled directly. Therefore, we need to work out from the retention money clause. Based on the additional information, it is stated that the cash received from the contractee is subjected to the 10% of retention money. Therefore, we need to find the retention money first. Based from the calculation, the retention money is 100,000. Okay, what is retention money? As we have learned, retention money refers to the money withheld by the contractee with the purpose to secure himself against any defect or incomplete work. Therefore, if there is a defect on the contract, so the money will be retained by the customer until the contractor solve the defect issue. Okay, so in this particular period, even though the amount billed to the customer by 1 million, but the contractee or the customer only pay 900,000 due to the 10% retention money. Okay, last but not least, we are required to identify whether there is a contract asset or contract liability from the question. Okay, so the formula to find the contract asset is we need to compare the contract revenue with the amount of progress billing. In short, when the contract revenue is greater than the progress billing, we will have what we call as contract asset. But whenever the contract revenue lesser than the progress billing, we will have contract liability. So based from this calculation, we can see that the contract revenue is 1.6 million while the progress billing is 1 million. Therefore, the extra of 600,000 is referred to as contract asset. Okay, so it shows that the company is less in claim from its contractee because you only bill the customer by 1 million ringgit. Therefore, consequently, this contract asset will be recorded in the statement of financial position under current asset. So, it shows that the amount is due from the customer. Okay, that's all the discussion for question 2 of Common Test April 2019. Basically, before we start to answer the question on contract costing, please make sure that we are able to identify this basic information. Number 1, you must be able to identify who is the contractor and who is the contractee. Number 2, you must also be able to identify the amount of the contract price agreed by contractor and contractee. Next, you must be able to identify the contract period, when the contract will start and when the contract is to be completed. Another important information is that we must be able to identify the reporting period for the contractor so that we can report the accurate amount for that particular period. Okay, there are also other important information that we need to identify. However, these are the basic information that we must know in order for us to prepare for the answer. That's all for today's tutorial class. So for better understanding, I encourage you to try on other questions for contract costing. And as for the assignments, I would like you to try on these 4 questions. Okay, so the first 2 is referring to the common test question and the last 2 is referring to the past year question. If you have any question on this topic, don't be hesitate to call me or to WhatsApp me as soon as possible. With that, thank you for listening and I'll see you in the next class.